Welcome to our very special Ask Me Anything About Cursor. You can ask me anything about Claude Code, Subagents, anything in the AI topics. I am here to help you today on this wonderful sunny Sunday morning, 8:30 a.m. here in California. And big shout outs to everyone else who is all over the world, even outside of California, outside of America. Shout out to also other people on the other side of the world kind of hanging out with me. One of the last topics I talked about last time was about this concept where we're going to show thinking windows. So context windows are really, really big deal. If you haven't been playing around with Cursor, or if you haven't been playing with Claude Code, you may realize that when you start to generate code, some of the code that gets generated gets really worse, or people say that the model's gotten worse over time. And what I think is happening is that we're all introducing all these different tool sets and various things into our apps that are basically filling up the context window a lot faster than we anticipated. So I appreciate everyone for showing up today. Feel free to drop it in the chat. This is going to be your live stream today to hang out with me and hang out. So Robin, if you don't know, is an amazing content creator who talks about these concepts, and he does a lot of great videos. So you can learn a lot just by watching Robin cook with AI, and he does a lot of stuff around Claude Code. He does a lot of stuff around, using Cursor, discovering these types of things. And so definitely, Robin, appreciate you for showing up on the stream. I'm going to go ahead and see, I guess my computer crashed last night because I ran out of space. And I'm going to see if I could fire up, because my little buttons to change my screens weren't really working here. So let me see if I can get this kind of working now. Hopefully. Yeah, I guess my screens aren't working. I should have probably tested it before I gone live. Yes, it crashed. Let me reopen. Okay. Last time, just reopen. And so please bear with me as I get this. Yay. Okay, cool. It would have been a bunch of awkward steps. So last time we talked about the Claude Opus sessions. And so what ended up happening is basically what we're saying here. Let me just kind of move these out of the way. Whoops. Okay. I'm going to animate this for you live to explain a little bit about how context windows work and kind of what happens underneath the scene. And so let's just pretend that we have this here. And what this is basically a Claude Opus agent that you actually have running, just like your session. This could even be Cursor's actual window, right? So, and then we're going to treat this like a progress bar, similar to if you ever see those fighters and stuff at the very top in your favorite video games, right? As you get the bar that fills up, you're pretty much done. And so the first request that comes in will be you, as far as whatever you put in and any instructions you give it to the agents. And then if you're using something like Claude Sonnet with extended thinking, it's going to do some type of thinking task. So that has a little token window. And so let's just say the token windows can vary in size. And so these can be adjusted kind of like this. So if you use Ultra Think, you start to use a little bit bigger of a thinking window. It can go up to as high as 32K, I think, in the CLI. And then the agent will then start to figure out its own response. So the agent will be like, hey, after I did some thinking, let me go ahead and start to run some tasks and look through your code and do some tool calling to understand what's going on. And so as it's doing its tool calling, it basically starts here and it starts to grow over time once it starts to go through a lot of your files. So once it does that, then it needs to actually output code. So the output would be something like this, And so the output would also start from something small and continue to grow depending on how many files it touches and so forth. So in one request, it'll do something like this. And then what ends up happening is that after that output happens, it's going to do another set of thinking. So depending on the token windows that you've set for your thinking, what's going to happen from here is basically it's going to try to think about everything it put out, and then it's going to look through all of these other chats and everything together, because this is all combined into one whole conversation. This stuff doesn't reset. It just keeps going. So this is oh, you know what? I made a bunch of this changes in your code, but guess what? I actually have to now fix some linting errors because I accidentally put a bunch of any's everywhere, and you're using TypeScript. So we should go ahead and fix those things. And so the agent's okay, let me just kind of think about this and come up with a really quick plan to help you find the files and things and figure out what tool calls I need to do. So it does its little tool calling and things like that. And then it does it may do another thinking task, it may not. And then it goes okay, cool, I got this plan. Let's go ahead and just write these files. It sends that over to the agent again to output the specific things that it needs to change. So then it starts going through grabbing your code and starts to like actually diff it. And then it can either hand that off as a tool call to your like cursor or whatever it is, or it can use its own diffing tools. And then it starts to actually go line by line and write those files through using the output. So this output, the first one could be bigger and this output's here. So before you know it, just in this one conversation, you're already probably approaching like over 50% of your usage for the context window. And that's just for like one request. And so if they kick off any other subagents, if you have subagents in its own task, what's nice about subagents is the fact that in part of the like agents like tool calling stuff, it can say, hey, I think we should delegate like one of the investigations that we're doing, if you're explicitly calling a subagent, to go ahead and do some research for me. So remember all that investigation this agent was doing? Now that actually kind of goes to be a lot smaller. And a lot of this other work that may need to happen can actually happen down here in this actual subagent. So one of the advantages about that is now you basically have freed up that context window and you no longer have that for your main agent. And so the sub agent basically has, 200K tokens or so for that thinking window. And so now you're basically putting it down here. And so in terms of like how big these actual windows are, let's just assume that we're all the same size, because these sub agents also get 200K tokens, right? So this is not, obviously not the scale, but you're kind of getting the picture here and how this is visualized. We saved a lot of that space up above here and then pushed it basically down here. This is something I covered yesterday in my 4-hour mega live stream for my members only. It was live for everyone. And in like the middle of the video, like around 2 hours, it was really clear that, this is kind of one of the advantages. And what we did yesterday was that we literally ran a PRD and had it run for 33 minutes straight without stopping. Like it issued 4 sub agents. I didn't have to define those agents by itself. And it got the PRD, and in one shot, basically with that PRD file, it actually generated our app. And all of the code it generated was pretty massive. I mean, the app that we have is literally right here. I'm gonna show you this real quick. I should probably turn on my camera so you can see me. And so I'm gonna turn on that camera while you can see that. And so while that's going, I'm going to just kind of stay out of the way a little bit, and I should be live here now. Okay. Here we are. Okay. So it generated all of these files. This whole app was basically scaffolded by one PRD. And so I could show you that PRD. And so this is the PRD that was generated. Let me close this because I think I finished that task. Okay. So let me just kind of show you what this PRD looks like. And this is kind of what something you should look like. We use Claude Opus in Claude Code to generate this PRD. So that's kind of what got us started here. And so this PRD that generated, because we had this like idea of how we should generate an app, was we wanted to leverage the OpenAI API endpoints and then have it take a look at our template because we already have login with Clerk. We already have, convex for the database. We already have everything set up and already working. So we just need to go through our code base and look through that. And so it basically generated this whole journey for us, which was more well-defined than I defined it in my couple of paragraphs of speaking. And then one of the things we asked it was to generate like a UI component tree and then have it kind of tie in which specific ShadCN components should be installed for each of those areas. And so those level of details were all handed off to subagents during the PRD generation. And so that made this PRD document super duper rich in generating like first, like not muddying up the token window, but also each subagent had its own little task to investigate these little details, which are just absolutely incredible. Because if you look at this, the adjustment view is talking about the carousel and it's talking about these different things. It's like, oh, this is a ShadCN UI input. And this is all being defined first in the PRD document before we tell the agents to go figure it out. Because I don't know if you know, at each step of the way, because these context windows get filled up, if it goes to the next thing, it's getting filled up. It's going to be like, yo, am I installing ShadCN or not? I'm just going to do whatever is in my training set. And then what ends up happening is like, oh, I know how to generate this. I'm going to generate this using the Radix components. So now you start getting out of date code that's not following your paradigm of your whole plan. And so the big unlock here and why subagents is the big deal in Claude Code and even in Cursor as well, and having something like this is because of that scalability and that expandability that you can have, right? So we're living in a world, and this is only true for right now, summer 2025. If you come at me next year and pull up this video, be like, Ray, like these 10 million token context windows are fixed, and it's not even like there's no more concept of like this context management anymore because they've come up with these new efficiency techniques to do this, and they do this automatically on our behalf. Bro, don't come at me, all right? Don't come at me. So yeah. That was like a really heavy session yesterday, and it's in that video, that 4-hour video for members only, and we covered a lot of this type of stuff. But it was so fire. Like, we generated this whole thing, and we told it to be an architect. We didn't tell it to write the code, but we told it to do the API integration like this. And so this generated basically a 386 page PRD for us, like pretty nicely, with all the Shatsian components that we need to be installed. And this ran for 33 minutes once we just told Claude Code to like cook with this PRD and said like, go use Subagents with this PRD, think harder, like, peace out. And it basically kind of is kicked off like these types of agents to do that code generation. And basically in one shot, it kind of got our app for us. We still have to work on it because right now there's some issues with the routing, but like we got all this in one shot, like this type of thing, a 404 and everything. This is crazy. It's like literally like a mobile app connected to the database, authenticate everything, just all like, I can't tell you how blown away I was because we were just hanging out. I didn't really realize the agent was going to take that long. So back to you guys. I'm trying to catch up a little bit because this is actually your Ask Me Anything, but I thought I would prime the subject here about, a lot of people are talking about context management. What does it really mean? I'm going to try to make some official slides and animations, and I'm going to make some dedicated videos on this because I think this is extremely important to understand as a concept and how you interact with AI to make it like extremely efficient for you. And I haven't gotten into MCPs and how all these other things can muddy up that context window, but you can already start to imagine. So let me just catch up with my members real quick and see who's up in here. Alberto, how's it going, man? You said yesterday was cracked for sure. Yesterday was just absolutely crazy cracked. Tech friend, how's it going, man? Good morning. Good morning, fam. Thank y'all for joining in. I really appreciate that. Goal for today is a 5-hour session, bro. I don't know, man. I got to be somewhere at 10:30, so I only got a little bit of time. I just wanted to connect with you guys to really just catch up because it's been wild. Yassine, what's going on? What's up, man? How does the cost increase when using multiple subagents? Preven, I am privileged enough right now to be spending $200 a month on Claude Code, and I think it's worth it every single penny because I don't have to think about that stuff. We went for 5 hours or 4 hours yesterday, almost 5 hours, and not once did Claude Code complain about me using too many tokens. It didn't, like, I think I hit like 3 million tokens for the entire session, right? And, cost us $33 or something like that for the whole, like that whole plan that generated for 30 minutes and everything. It was chill. And I think where people run into issues is they'll open up like 5 terminal windows, and each of the terminal windows will kick off like MCPs that have like 10s, 20s, 30, 40, 50. Some of them even have 80 tool calls. Each of those tool calls will then initiate Claude Code sessions. So you start to get down this really crazy rabbit hole, and people burn through like, thousands of dollars of like tokens when you don't really have to do that. It's actually simpler than that. And so this is kind of where I'm talking about like this little threshold. If I was paying out of pocket, I would have probably paid yesterday's session like $40 or something like that entirely. Is it worth it to me? Yeah. I mean, it's better than hiring someone to, like, when I was working at Apple, I would literally have to go find like product managers and say, I have this idea. Let's go ahead and see how we can get this working. I would go, meet people at a cafe, start talking about my idea, getting finding some designers, getting everyone kind of bought in, and we all kind of like brainstorm together. It's a multi-day process, and that's a lot of money. So here in just one shot, I'm able to communicate to an AI. It helps me pull all those concepts together, but then now I have a cohesive plan that I could even modify before I hand it off to someone to even execute the code. So in terms of costs, like if you're weighing costs and if you're doing this for professional development, it's just kind of like a no-brainer. Compared to other things, like right now, I want to take this PRD because I have everything in my actual GitHub repo. Like I can actually snapshot back and say, let's just run the same thing in Cursor and see what it does, right? I can try to benchmark it, which would be really cool. So yeah, that'd be really interesting to see what the cost differential will be there. So I feel like AI is going to surprise us one day, and it'll be able to do things that we can't imagine with a few prompts. That's exactly, I think, what's going to happen. I think that's kind of where I feel like the puck is going, is that there is a differential right now because people are thinking that, okay, maybe as an engineer, you can go back to coding. And I think there's going to be a couple different things. It's going to be really important if you're into a specific framework and you're working at these like lower levels where you actually have to touch metal or touch robots and build the actual infrastructure. We need engineers doing that type of code because these AI agents are really good at going down to your framework level and building software for us, right? We need a ShadCN. We need all these people who are making these different like database products and these things to basically so that the AIs can leverage them. And so that means us as users can actually use them. I'm not interested in writing my own SQL transactions to the milliseconds to understand, like, if I have all these that interrupt, like, I'm not going to do that. I can if I want to, but why? Like, I want to make products. So it just depends on where you are in the stack. And I feel like we're going to need two types of engineers. And right now, you're probably seeing a lot of muddying in the waters right now online. I feel like a lot of engineers are down here of like they want to continue with their frameworks, but they're feeling threatened. But you also have people up here who are saying, oh no, like AI is going to take your job. It's like, nah, y'all got to zoom out and then you got to tell me what you're looking at, right? So there's people who are looking at that 10,000 foot view. And then there's other people who are like at the metal, like on the ground floor, and they're just having two different conversations, but they're all trying to like pretend like it's the same thing. So that's kind of where you see maybe a little bit of dissonance too, where people are like, well, I feel this really weird way because I have two conflicting things, like, but they're actually two different things. So just like, I don't know, tune into Ray Fernando. We're just going to keep it real and raw here and stay cooking with us. So another thing that can lead to worse results might be giving too many tools to an agent. Exactly. It confuses the agent. Cursor even wants that 50 plus think. Yes, MCP tools can hurt results. I agree. I totally agree. And that context window is key because if every subagent is now using those MCP tool calls, you start muddying those subagents, and you don't want that. That's called AI brain rot. No. So can we someday discuss how products like Lovable are built? It's all a prompt base, or are they doing training, coding data, built their own model? I think for that one, I'm not an expert on that. I can guess, but it'd just be better to just interview the founder and just ask them. I feel like, yeah. They're not trained on anything. Most use Sonnet 4 with comprehensive system instructions. Custom tools, edit, search. Some have docs for in-house tools and libraries. That's probably mostly it. There's probably an orchestrator of some sort that would go in and actually try to figure out what you're asking, and then try to generate a PRD, and then they try to see if they can link their tool calls in part of the system prompts. So it's likely a multi-step process. How many iterations do you think it's possible for subagents combined with PRD and compressed conversations? Ensure how big a project can be. If you're talking about like one gecko, I think I don't really know. I gave that massive PRD to Claude, and it said it spun off 4. So they weren't in parallel, but it just did it one by one. And I don't know, like that was a 380 page plan, and I was only expecting it to take off one piece and then kind of continue on because that's what I'm used to seeing Cursor do. So this one actually just said, "Yo, I don't care, man. I got the bag. I got you, fam." So. Dude, Claude Code was worth his money. And by the way, it's like my goal wasn't to just generate the app. It was more to like in the middle of, I was actually going to end the live stream at like 2 hours, but I just decided to YOLO it because I like to just, that's the reason why I have the $200 a month plan from Claude, is because I can try these ideas. I have this PRD, generate the code. I'm going to go get some lunch. I come back, I didn't get lunch. I was kind of hanging out with everyone, but you can do things, come back and see what happened, right? Spin off 3 of them if you want to. I don't know. But then you can choose one specific, like, oh, I like what it did. Take everything you learned and then incorporate that back into your PRD, throw away the code and then try again, right? So like I already have a base template. It's not going to rewrite all that code. It's just going to start from that point where we have the PRD. Now I have a more defined PRD from things I learned, things I don't want. Those are really important things, and you can only get them by trying, especially since I don't really know sometimes what I want. So I call that like almost like a discovery prompt. We're like discovering things as we go, and then, using the best tools to extract that information from the code base so you can have those conversations to bring them in. So yeah, that's what's up. What's the best method to create a PRD at the moment? I literally just tell Claude to create the PRD. I think you also want in your PRD to give it some specific elements like a UX tree or UI UX tree, which is kind of one of the key terms I use. I learned that from a YouTube video a couple days ago. I was like, this guy's genius. He's like, he has a whole like PRD, it's just UI UX, and it's just a big ass tree. And I was like, that's too complicated for my language models. I just kind of want to keep it more abstracted as a high level. But you can just say, this is my general idea. I just gave it like a big general idea. I gave it to some links to some research they want to do. And I said, like, I want to see if we can create a PRD with this, and also be sure to create a UI tree, a UI UX tree, so that we can see what components are going to be laid out where. And I also want to overlay what ShadCN components should be used for each of that parts of the UI UX tree. Once you do that, it's super powerful from there to hand off to agents, because now they have explicit instructions. They now know what part of the tree that they're working in, and they now know what specific ShadCN stuff to install. I use Bun to install my ShadCN components. So then I also told that into the PRD. I said, can you add the instructions for Bun to install ShadCN components so that when an agent comes into this file, it's going to know how to install it. And so that is super powerful, because now when I gave those tasks to the subagents, they all use those commands to install the components, where if you don't say that, the agents are going to try to write the code themselves based off of their own training set. And it's not going to be compatible with Tailwind v4. So that's the other problem. See, like telling that it's kind of a weird place that we're in right now, but just kind of letting you know what I've learned so far, so that you don't have to suffer through those same mistakes, if you know what I mean. Because it's a big deal, and I'm really glad that we're doing this kind of AMA style. I hear Whisper plus Gemini combo is good, but I haven't found a setup that doesn't take 30 minutes. Whisper plus Gemini combo. Whisper. Like Whisper the speaking thing. Gemini CLI. Yeah, would love to hear some clarity. Adam, how's it going? As a recent member, happy Sunday fun day. This is gonna be a really great session. This is really cool. Have you used Qwen 3 Coder? I have to do this little dance when people are doing likes, Odo. So every time someone did this, have you used Qwen 3 Coder, and do you think that it could be a cheaper option compared to Claude Code? I have used it a little bit, but right now, because I have a max plan, Claude Code, Claude Sonnet, and the tooling is so damn good. And so it took me a little while to set up all these different proxies and different things where I feed the actual, stuff from Qwen 3. And so there's a couple problems I had with Qwen 3. One is their inference from like Alibaba is fast, but it's the same price as Claude Sonnet 4, and it could even be more expensive than Opus at a certain point once your token window grows over 100K tokens. So like, what? Okay. And then two, it's like, my data is going to Alibaba in China. Do I want that? Probably not, depending on who you are, right? I don't mind doing it for like my simple projects and stuff, but there could be some like data leaks in the future, right? I don't want my own customer data to be flowing through, like if I don't know. I want to kind of keep things a little bit more contained, if you know what I mean. And so, and not that I have customer data in my app anyways, but like, I don't know at some point in time how that may actually play out. So that's that factor. And so you're like, okay, so then why don't I just do a container like Grok or somebody who's hosting Qwen 3, like Fireworks AR, these other people, they narrow the token window. So the costs are still variable for the inference. Some of them say the output's only going to be like 4K or 8K or like not even, 64K. Like, so all of them are going to vary their output because they only have so much inference or so many GPUs on their stuff. And so there isn't like necessarily a really gold standard as it is compared to Claude Code. And then when you're going to Alibaba directly with a host, a full model with everything, the cost is still the same. So right now, until that kind of gets resolved and it gets a little bit better, I just would rather just pay the $200 a month and just not even think about it. And it's the Claude Code CLI tool is so damn good. It's just my favorite. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with this. I'm not saying that I'm closing my mind to this. I'm just saying this is my current evaluation as of like the first week, right? This stuff is so new, right? It's going to change all the time. I do expect it to get better, but this is just, saving my headaches because I've seen this story too many times. How do I get Claude Code to initiate my Mac subscription without having to log in manually each time? You may want to look into some permission issues there because if you do /doctor in Claude Code, you may try to fix your installation or may reinstall it that way. That'll probably be your best way. Also, what do you think about the $20 a month plan on Cursor? Is it still good bang for the buck? If you're Okay, so I don't know if you know this, but the $200, like the $20 a month agent plans, anything when you're coding with an AI agent, you're not going to pay $20 a month anymore starting as of like this last couple of months with that whole, cursor thing, right? Everyone is going to charge you money because it costs a lot of inference to run all these tokens through their models and so forth, especially with Claude Sonnet. So if you are a person who likes to code a lot and just likes the auto completion, it's probably the best $20 you can buy for the auto completion. And if you occasionally need some agentic tool calls, you can either pay per use, which is what I'm currently doing. I have $20 a month plan and I pay per use. I just turn on O3 Max and just let it rip, right? Like that's just easy, right? It's sometimes easier to do that than Claude Code, or I want to do a research task in Cursor itself while Claude Code is working. And, at this point, most of my agentic use and everything is all Claude Code. The way that they're delivering features so fast is just totally crazy. So $20 a month, it's not a bad, I feel like that has to be in part of your stack. So $20 a month Cursor, $100 to $200 a month for the Claude Max. And you're like, that's like the king right now for the cost. Yo, Fetty Hustle, what's going on, man? Good morning, yo. I'm ready to pick up some nuggets this morning at AI and Chill. Yes, man. Let me know what questions you got. I'm still kind of catching up on the chat. I'm a little bit behind. One feature I'm missing in Subagents is the ability to give Subagents access to a set of tools that regular Claude Code does not have access to keep context window nice and clean. Yes, I need to do a little bit more digging on this because I thought they have access, but from what I understand, I got a really snarky response yesterday from the Claude Code agent. It says, the reason why it didn't write the documentation to your specified folders because the subagents need explicit instructions. I was like, damn, chill, bro. So FYI, I'm just kind of passing on what I want there. Hey, Practical JS, thank you so much for becoming a member. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys kind of supporting the channel. I have finally reached my first 100 members. So that's a big shout outs. I have 102 members and I'm super duper excited. If you're the number 101, 102 and you just recently joined, just follow the instructions to get into the Discord. I'm gonna get you in. I know I said after 100 members that I would lock it out and double the price and stuff like that. But I can't do you guys like that. A lot of people just recently joined in my last stream and I really appreciate it. And I still want to get you in. So I'll get you in for a little while. Part of the reason is because I still need to build out the actual site, which is going to just be using Polar. And it shouldn't take very long, but I've just been so busy lately and we've just been crushing it. So I really appreciate everyone who's been able to join as a member down below and support the channel because this is actually helping me get an editor, which I just recently got, and going to add some more goodies along the way as well. So trying to get that Mac with the 10K, with 512 gigabytes of RAM, you know what I mean? In case of Macs, you should log in only once in Anthropic. Yes, correct. Yeah. Maybe a question was answered in the video yesterday, but how can every subagent maintain its context window, or is that at least part of the context that is picked up from the main agent? They have, as soon as it spawns off, it has a fresh window. And so from there, the agent that gave it instructions is like you and me giving it prompts. So it's going to prompt that agent saying, hey, your task is to go do this, go. And those maybe gives it 5K tokens, maybe less than that. But you still have a very large, 200K token window. So that's a little bit of how it kind of kicks off. This is a big hi from Egypt. Yo, how's it going from Egypt, man? I really want to go visit Egypt. That'd be so cool. Hey, good morning, y'all. Good morning. Will you use parallel agents in Claude Code? Yes, I should have done that yesterday, but I wasn't sure when I was building out the PRD if I was going to run into any dependency issues. So I didn't want them overriding each other. And it was kind of cool that we had that parallelism. I do like parallel agents a lot for investigation of your code. So in parallel, trying to grab different files so that you can, start to understand and try to learn a little bit more about your code base a lot faster. Thinking on that PRD yesterday, do you believe that there would be a beneficial break in a huge single PRD down to a layered TDE approach and build up for increments? Yes, I think that could have been a lot better way to break things down. And it actually did that for us when we gave that to Claude Code. Because did you notice the order that it did it? It said task 1 and it worked on the infrastructure backend. And then later on, it got to the UI. So then it added those UI hooks based off all the backend stuff that it built. And then the last part, which is kind of tidying everything up, which was pretty cool. So Claude sort of figured that out by itself, but if we would have done the same level of detail and say, let's just do the back end and then have that do its own sub-agent work, that could have been interesting too, Gitmax. So that's kind of why I YOLO'd it yesterday, because I felt like I could always throw away the code. And so, there's a lot of different approaches here, but I think the most important thing out of everything is to try to get that detailed PRD. If you're working on an app that has UI, telling it to make a UI UX tree. And then if you're using ShadCN like I'm using, to tell it to write what specific ShadCN components are going to go in that tree, so that like when the agent goes and grabs those files, like that's where the real sauce is. And very few people are talking about it. I've only seen like one YouTube video about it. And I thought I need to share this information because it's so damn good. And it's actually extremely useful, as we saw yesterday. Are you going to use parallel? Yeah, that's the what was, yeah. Also, find that PRD stuff is much easier for greenfield apps. Any advice on PRD for medium-sized existing code bases? I haven't done that type of level of work. I just think about myself and my time when I worked at this fruit company. And I don't know, I feel like there was a lot of different steps that happened there, right? Like there's just the idea for the tentpole feature that you want to ship, like the big feature that's going to be like the big headline. And then trying to talk to all the teams, like you have to think about like yourself, like, okay, what teams are involved in doing a feature like this, right? So you have to like think through it a little bit more yourself and say, okay, so if I'm going to be doing something that requires like a big, auth components involved to check all these different things, I have to make sure I kind of loop that in. And then like if this feature is going to be doing a lot of animations and things like that, what libraries I have to be doing. So you may have to spawn off a separate like conversation. I like to use O3 a lot in ChatGPT to help me bring that into the conversation. Or if you're using Claude Code, just tell it to use a web research. Just open up a new Claude Code window saying, I'm thinking I am doing a very heavy UI like thing and I want to do some animations. Can you use the web to go research and figure out what would work well for my code base? And then you can spin off multiple sub-agents, and I want you to think hard about this task. So that could just be one prompt. It goes through, it starts to search through your code base. These sub-agents will start to spawn off multiple websites to go search and grab things. And then it'll actually do a comparison and say, okay, here's what you're kind of thinking. So you'll have this massive report. You can hand this report off now to the next conversation in another, Claude Code window and just continue that. And it's okay if you spend like a day doing research. That's going to make it a very rich type of thing. And if you know what files are involved or you don't know what files are involved, just ask Claude Code to bring them into your purview. And then once you have that information, then open up a new chat window or a new Claude Code session, and then continue the conversation from there. So you're going to have to do like a multi-step conversation in these types of things. And I feel like that's just a really good way to get familiar with the code base. And then you can even ask it for examples of code of whatever's happening right now. One of the things that I like to ask once software is shipped and something's happened, like if there's a regression or a big bug in like a system, is like, if we make this change or if this change is going to go into the build tonight, like what exactly is the risk here? Like, are you changing a lot of frameworks? Are you like, is the change, who else is affected by this change, right? Like what type of testing has been done for this, right? Have there been any tests that have been run and like, how are we seeing new regressions from it? Like what would be the impact here, right? So you may want to like ask it to generate like a call stack if it can. Sometimes these LLMs are really good at tracing, like Claude Code's really good at tracing through your stack. So you can say, can you just, I'm going to change this function or we're going to rewrite this thing. Who else is calling this? And then of the people who are calling this, how is that going to affect them, right? And so that's going to be very helpful information because you're basically debugging, right? But you get a better sense of the stack if you're not too familiar with it so that it can help you with it. Like you're kind of treating it like a co-pilot coder, but all of this info is going to help you, right? You're just trying to load your memory of things, keep some notes and stuff. And right now you can't really one-shot these things. I mean, you can try, but I feel like at this point, when you're dealing with large code bases, you're probably more hands-on on the code base than you are hands-off. And that's probably a better approach anyways, because eventually the models will become smart enough where they'll be doing all of these tasks that I described in a more software programmatic way. And they're going to be leveraging the models to do those things. And right now we kind of have to write our own rules. We have to write our own apps or use things like Claude Code that kind of help us get there as a multi-step process. So yeah. Curious, have you tried to look at Warp? No, I have not had any time. I've just been so busy. Finally been able, after a decade to part-time work, to show the existence of God. So far, only AI is interested. I don't know what that means. In the PRD flow, are you telling it to ask you questions, or I guess driving the PRD? How do you find that it's done enough? So a lot of times too, for PRD, there are a couple of different aspects to it. One is for your own clarity of thinking on what you want. And then two is like, what do you want the agents to do? So it's okay to have one like 1,000-line document if that helps you get the information and details online, or aligned for what you want to accomplish, right? It could be a really big feature you're working on that requires so much stuff, and that's okay. I think it's good to have like one big main document that you work out of, but then like you can't just give that to an LLM because you're going to start to fill up the context window super fast. So that at that point, you would either tell one LLM to generate subagents, or just like we were saying earlier, just take one chunk and try to implement the feature and kind of see how that goes, right? So that's kind of where you have to weigh where you're at in the app, and you would just kind of I would just say, if you sign up for the max plan for $200 just for 1 month and just go crazy, go crazy, give it all the tokens. It's going to eat it up. It's going to like it. And you're going to learn, I think, a lot in 1 month. That $200 that you pay is worth more than any education that you can right now. You're going to be so far ahead of this AI wave. That's kind of what I'm saying. It's like, you're not, we're only like 1 month in. Like, I think I've only paid it once, right? Or twice. So yeah. So I made 133. Okay, cool. I don't know what that means. If you're a crypto bro, you're going to get spammed. You're going to get banned. So don't be doing that stuff in here. What would you recommend as an efficient local coding agent squad? I'm a bit concerned about the legal issue. They some alternate address an interview with Theo Vaughn. So I don't know what he is. I don't really know exactly the details here, so I can't really comment on that because I haven't really watched that interview. I saw that he was interviewed there, but I don't really watch that guy's show. So I was like, okay, yo, we got 100. Yeah, that's right. I'm way behind on the chat right now. So my bad. Yeah, thanks. We finally made it to 100. I'm so excited that we've been able to make it. That was a really crazy, amazing journey. We started this like July 1st, streaming every day. So we've gone a long ways. Claude Code forces me to re-log in every now and then, maybe 10 days or so. Yeah, I've done that every so often. Suggestions on running tests with Claude Code. That's something I'm still looking into right now because I need to understand what some of the testing frameworks do and how they actually test. Like, I learned that Playwright does a couple things. It can look through the DOM and like the tree structure, which is useful for some types of bugs. But for me, I'm more interested in like the snapshotting of like taking a picture of my website and understanding what elements are broken. And then I also need to get into like understanding, I treat a testing agent like this similar to like hiring an engineer to work on my team. When they work and do testing, like I just want to see how they test. I just say, hey, like test this login flow. Let me just see you test it. And then they click the buttons, they do their own thing. It's like, okay, that's their flow. Like, I want to work with you. And then like, let me just kind of help bring you up on other things that maybe you should be checking, or I like what you're doing here. Let's go ahead and do these types of things. So that's kind of the way I would treat an AI agent right now. And I'm still going to learn some more. So you're probably going to see me live as I continue building here, figuring this out live. So CDB, what's going on? Thank you so much for becoming a member, man. Yeah, check the post, by the way. I'm still letting people into the Discord at this like really ridiculously cheap price because prices are going to double sometime soon. So yeah. Fetty, what's going on, man? Have you already done a video on your setup workflow? I have projects scattered and desperately need a workflow framework. Yo, if you haven't had a chance to slide through the DM, hit me up because I want to know more details of like maybe how it can help you. Maybe I'll do a Discord session where we're just kind of hanging live and then kind of try to do that and like kind of walk you through it live on the Discord, because I feel like learning more about what this really means will allow me to make a better video for everyone else, if you know what I mean. So here's a $1 million idea. Convert the code to React Native, create coin-based subscription. Anyone who wants to make professional headshot photo can subscribe and create his own photo. I don't know what that means. I think so. Yes. Do you think OpenAI will release some version of Subagents when GPT-5 is released? I am curious to see the direction they're going to go in with all this stuff. I think that GPT-5 is its own behemoth, and that, I don't know. Here's my take. I think it might disappoint people because there's just been too much hype to begin with. there's going to be the initial hype train of like it beat all the benchmarks, it did XYZ, yada yada. But like I think when everyday users will use it, like they may be surprised that like they may not be getting the results they did. And this is very common for OpenAI's releases. And it's not that their models are not intelligent, it's that there's a whole new paradigm of how we talk to the models because of all the assumptions we had for the last 6 months, basically 24 months or so that the model, from GPT-4. So let me kind of clarify this and kind of tell you a little bit more about what this means. Is that fact that before we had these like reasoning models, this is a very recent thing, like as of this last year or so, like the models, you would just, whatever you put in, stuff comes out. And people said like, if you prompt it this way, it comes out better. And then like, now that you have reasoning, what they're introducing is the fact that like now you can actually orchestrate a couple models together to like ask questions, have some really like lightweight models to do some other research work. And so these have been the early agents of, 2025, late 2024, people, that was like where the discovery was going. People were even seeing this like in, last year in 2024, and they said 2025 is going to be the year of agents. This is basically what we're seeing now, right? They're calling it agents, but it's just orchestration. And so with GPT-5, this orchestration is already being done for you or will likely be done for you. And so people are going to be used to prompting it in the old ways when you maybe have to readjust what you're prompting. So there's going to be this weird adjustment period at the beginning when these types of things are released. And so then people will start to kind of say, oh my God, it finally gets me type of thing. So I don't think they'll call it agents. I think they'll call it their own thing. I think they're going to brand it, in their OpenAI way. It's probably going to be very agentic-like, and I'm really curious to see what they do because I do want more of the good sauce, if you know what I mean. Hey Ray, which mic do you have? I have the Shure SM7B, so the SM7B, and I also have the right now with me. Basically, I have like a Rodecaster Duo, and so that's kind of what I'm using right now, and that's like basically right here. So this Rodecaster Duo is like pretty much my lifesaver because it takes my microphone, does the amplification, but that's how I'm doing all these triggers to trigger all this stuff. So that's how I'm able to do everything, and it's just so damn good. Have you ever worked on with the Cursor team? Did you ever work on Cursor with a team? What's your suggested workflow? I have not worked like with a team per se, so I don't have a lot of experience to kind of say what a good workflow is. But I know some other people in the community have. So if y'all want to chime in and definitely help out, I think it'd be a good idea. 3 hours of context engineering can save 6 hours of debugging. Dude, you're always going to have bugs, man. Even on production software, bro. Like even in the most polished, what appears to be polished software, bugs will come up in the craziest ways. And I've seen some insanely crazy bugs. Like you would not believe like adding a logging somewhere can cause a bug on some specific hardware for, because of a timing issue, right? Like stuff like that, all the tests pass, but you don't ever catch this bug, or it's a 1 in 100 bug, or it's a 1 in 1,000 bug, right? So like, it depends on your bug purview and stuff, because these can span out. So you're always going to have bugs, I guess. It's going to say like debugging is a really good way to learn how to be a better engineer, I feel. Have you tried using Subagents to test changes? No, not yet. But that's why I want to get into testing frameworks, because I think that's going to be a good key to help us like unlock some really good stuff here. What do you think of web dev or AI ML in the future? Like I'm in my college, I know a little web dev, a little Python. Any suggestion for a future roadmap? I would just say, if you're into web dev or AI ML, I'm curious to know what you're studying. I mean, I feel like it's important to know how these models work and if you can train them. I mean, dude, literally you can get $100 million if you're like the best in, AI training and so forth. I mean, that's like PhD level type of stuff, but the payoff is massive, right? To be able to do these at scale and make these apps. So you're thinking about, moving the economies like at the $1 trillion level type of thing. But there's a lot of room for everything else in between, right? So where the models are going, where everything is going right now, and this is kind of my take. I feel that like no one's really talking about this, but okay, so this is probably the best way I can explain it right now. We just discover there's glaciers, but we're at the very bottom of the glacier, and no one realizes it's a glacier until like the entire ocean fills up to the very top, and they say, "Wow, that's a big glacier." So this AI wave is so massive. Everyone is approaching it from these different areas, and they're all saying the same thing. They're like, "This is AI. This is going to take over everything." So we're at the, like they say, the glacier, like the very top that we see, which is really massive already, is the tip of the glacier. And then it goes down even bigger. That's exactly what's happening. We're down here and the ocean level is not even up yet. And so everyone is having their perspectives, and they're all realizing they're all seeing the same thing, but they're all seeing it from very different perspectives because it's so freaking large. So what's going to happen every decade, we're going to go like this. And we're going to eventually get to the tip of the glacier, maybe 100 plus years from now. And this paradigm of computing needs, like, we're going to have to keep building the stack one at a time, like a pyramid. And so we're at the bottom and the base of this pyramid. And so for the next step of the pyramid, what we're seeing right now is orchestration. The importance of orchestration, as we saw with Claude Code, is showing us how this stuff can scale really fast. And then the models have the base intelligence there already. They just need these anchor points so that you can do novel or unique problem solving. So it's actually kind of simpler. So the simpler the architectures you have, the better you have at actually kind of leveraging the intelligence of these models, because now you have a simple system that doesn't need human instructions. And so the best way I can kind of explain this to you maybe is like zooming out at a very high level. Imagine you're flying and looking down at a city and you see like a bunch of roads and everything. You ever see that? You just see all this cross sections and everything. Europe looks a lot different than America, but every town has their own like little road system. And so imagine like what happens is like, hey, there's a city that's down there. How do you navigate, right? So you get dropped in the middle of the city and you're told to go find a McDonald's like 2 miles away. You're just going to start wandering in streets and kind of going down your own direction. And if you have a map or if you have any signs, right, those signs help to point you in these different directions. And those are what I call like anchors in the AI system, right? You have this really rich city, but you hear that there's food, you hear all this culture and stuff, but you don't find it yourself. You need a lot of guidance, right? So if you have maps, if you have these tools that help you navigate around the city, all of a sudden you can start to really understand the rich and depthness of a certain city. And so that's AI today. AI today has basically like this giant iceberg that we just don't even realize is an iceberg. And it needs these different signposts. It needs these different pieces of software. It needs these orchestration layers to make them really come together as a really beautiful piece to be like realized and to solve problems without explicitly saying, if this, then that, then this, then that, then this, then that, because that's never really going to happen, right? That's kind of like the magic of these models. And I feel like, especially if you're in school right now, being a part of these orchestration layers, you're going to go very far, because now you have to think and put your engineering hat on. Less research hat, more of like the get stuff done and ship software type of hat, because that's actually where I think the gold really is. And that skill never goes away. I mean, I could tell you like some of the highest paid people at these Fortune 500 companies are the ones driving these product decisions, because they know how to get stuff done and ship the software. They can get all the experts in the room of like 30 years of experience, high level executives, make those business decisions and say, yes, we can do this today. This has to go. Like, we can't do that today. That can go next week. That can go next month. Like, those are really critical product decisions that only come with time and like hands-on with these models. So the fact that you're even here today just means that you're super interested, and there's like many roadmaps to go on. So yeah, that's just that's my Sunday service for today. I just figured out that today is Sunday. Yes. Have you checked the rumors of Claude Code getting a weekly limit? I saw that rumor. I wouldn't be surprised, but to be honest, I don't think I would hit that, even though I use it for like 30 minutes straight, because I'm not having these crazy agents. And this is probably something a little bit that folks who are just tuning in, I just realized people are just tuning in right now. We had a little bit of conversation to explain how some of these like context windows work. So when you're generating requests, you start to kind of fill them up. And then when you generate like a sub agent, you basically take that work that would have been done by one agent and kind of hand them off into other agents. And so if you can imagine this at scale with like MCP tool calls and crazy stuff that people are doing, then you start to kind of get into a really big mess of people just eating up tons of tokens, probably when they really shouldn't be. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. And normal people who are trying to find like efficient workflows to do these types of things should be fine. I mean, as we did yesterday, I feel like I have no problem. OCR, yeah. I build a lot of subagents and many commands use effectively the subagents. Do you have suggestions on how to keep the context updated? Okay. What are the documents to use from idea to MVP? I have a 4-hour video on that. And so we kind of cooked on that 4-hour stream yesterday, and it's like basically for members only. And I could probably launch into more of that. I do plan to make individual pieces of content, but if you want to see like a full-on raw stream, that's probably the best way to do it. You have to become a member to do that, and I feel like I can go over it into more detail because it is a very long, like multi-step process. Do you think subagent rule following manager that forces Claude to not create stub files, fallbacks, or try alternative methods that you didn't think or ask for will work 100%? I don't think anything will ever be 100%. I think that's the whole point of all of this agentic stuff is it's basically entropy. You can get 9 out of 10, pretty good. And I'm happy for that. So I'll take that every day. Excited to build with you. What are the steps to join the Discord? If you go into my profile on Ray Fernando 1337 on YouTube, there's like a members only section, like of members only posts and that material. So in there's going to be one post that says like the instructions that you need to send off to get access to the Discord. So send that across. I don't have access to your emails or anything like that. All I see is your name and your YouTube channel. So if you can just make sure that you send me that information too, that way I can cross verify and say that you actually are a member. So yo, Sean, thank you so much for becoming a member. I really, really appreciate it. I'm a little bit behind on my messages right now, but I'm going to make sure I catch up and get it to everyone because it's a really nice AMA. So yeah, awesome, man. You can get right in there as well. Friends, I missed you. 2 days of power outages. No, Lisa, I hope you're okay. Holy smokes. Oh, man, I hear it's been nuts across the country. And so I was happy to see you on the stream here today. And hopefully things are getting better for y'all out there. Man, a lot of times you find bugs in your tool chain. Yes, dude, this. Dude, RW, who are you, bro? You're cracked. I've been seeing you a couple of times. You got some really good bangers. If you guys are working on as a team in the same project using Cursor, let me know. I've been working with my team. Yeah, if anyone can help out Paolo in the chat, super cool. Because there's a lot of these types of challenges as well, like managing PRs. And GitHub workflow is like a whole art science. Not really, but once you understand the basics, I think that can help you go a long way. Like to fork or not to fork is the question. Are you going to work on branches? Like you have to establish some of these conversations early on. I mean, I've been in meetings with teams where they go like a whole week. They can't decide whether they should fork or they should do branching, like for, putting features in. So it gets very deep. Exactly. Is there a way to recreate Manus Claude agents locally? I think at this point, have it generate a PRD, tell it to give it some instructions for, subagents to use like a thinking type of task and just tell them to cook, right? I think he means Iceberg. Yes. Did I say Glacier? Iceberg. Yeah. Iceberg. Yes. Iceberg. Thank you so much. Iceberg. I said Glacier, huh? Dang. Thank you so much. Y'all heard that they are approving AI assistants openly for Linux kernel development? That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. I'm all about that. Hey, how's it going, Unlimited Bytes? Do you look into the BMAD method? I have not had a chance to look at that, but I will look in that probably in the coming week or so. I got a lot of stuff going on. Ernesto, thank you so much for becoming a member, man. I really appreciate it. Y'all are coming through in the chat. This has been a really great AMA session and stuff. And so I still got some time. I still got about 30 minutes. So I want to make sure I hang out, answer some questions from everyone. So I'm from India and I love India. I don't know what's the best thing in the future. I'm at a point of time where I can pivot. You know what I mean? Doing computer science. Any suggestions for the future? I would just say keep cooking and keep building apps at the same time. There's a really cool guy by the name of Dravya. You may know him. He's pretty famous. He is from India as well. Made his startup. It's called Super Memory. And I've known him for a little while. And he just keeps shipping apps and doing things and learning. And so if you post publicly online, you would not believe how many doors open up, especially on Twitter, because there's so many people who are building with AI on there. And it gets a lot of attention because other people are drawn in as well. So I definitely would go ahead and, do that as well. Simo, thank you so much for becoming a member as well. You guys are real ones right now, really killing it. And I really appreciate the support. This is so wild right now. Ray, how do you work with Excel sheet XLS CSV extracting data from those to create an app for predictive models for a business owner like a micro. I mean, have you ever tried Claude Code? You would be surprised how fast Claude Code can extract that data with some bash commands and just even asking it for how to do that. I haven't done this very specifically, but there's a lot of documentation also on OpenAI's website on model training that you can take a look at. And obviously it's for their platform, but that applies to everyone else too. And, it's actually like not that expensive to train this stuff these days. The kernel stuff is going to be amazing for function level performance tuning. Yeah, so a kernel level fix, like there's a lot of different things you can do. So for hardware, it would be really interesting because you can coalesce like cycles for the CPU and like your external components to like all run in one cycle. So like if you make that efficiency change, you can probably save hours of battery life on your devices. And you can do a lot of other cool stuff. Like you can actually just start to throw in a debugger and have it trying to debug its own code and debug its own runs and kind of create these stats, right? So if you're doing some kernel level development, what I would do is just hook this like thing up to a debugger, capture all that stuff into a database, and then have an AI model try to reason through that and say, what are some of the patterns you see that are kind of happening here? And it's going to say, why are these interrupting at all these times of things? And like you want to maybe have something else that's an AI agent that's running in your computer that's describing the tasks. So now that you combine this like kernel level debug output plus the user intended output, you can actually start to optimize saying, okay, if a user is doing this type of task, we already know this is happening in the system level. And then how can we then just, coalesce these cycles to not just be very spammy? Because there's a lot of things that are just kind of spammy in the system. They wake up at the chip, they do certain things and they go back to sleep. And like maybe they don't have to be awake for so long, right? Maybe they can only be awake when something else is being called to it, right? Those are the types of cool things you can do with AI at the kernel level that no one's really talking about. I'm pretty sure people are investigating it, but I don't think anyone's really thinking through like how much of an unlock that is for all these different areas. And I have been around some of these systems like a decade ago, solving these problems before AI. And like you can save a lot. I mean, in order for you to get like 18 plus hours on basically a Casio sized watch with this tiny, this is a bigger battery, but with like even tinier battery. Oh man, I can't tell you how many hairs I pulled out, but it'll be fire. It'll be so fire. What is your take on Claude Flow? I had not used Claude Flow yet, but I don't even know if I have enough time to check out some of these tools. Good afternoon, y'all. Good afternoon, man. Lamau, Ray Sermon. Yo, I'm still behind in the chat. Am I a member in the Isle of Man? Dude, I would love to know who's in that area. That'd be really cool to see what's up. Give a thumbs up as well for people who are liking the content right now. Context is currently having the biggest issue I have. The Context 7? Oh, context, like actually context management. I think you're talking about this. So yeah, I think understanding how this works is going to be really good. I'm going to try to actually make an animation video just with this. I'm going to be using Keynote. I might just even use this or just cut up this live stream and just repost like the specific section where I talk about context management, because I feel like that's something that's still really raw right now. And a lot of people are trying to have this here. I'm going to rewatch the stream. It looks like another heater. Dude, we've been cooking. And by the way, when the stream ends, I kick off a process that runs that will generate the timestamps. And that's going to be in the video as well. So always be sure to come back. You can check that out. And I'll always have timestamps. So I don't know if you've seen like every single video I've been releasing since like July 1st from my live streams have all had these timestamps. And if it doesn't call me out, then I'll just re-kick off the process because it may have not done it for me. So the stream is so good. I forgot to put my cup down while making coffee, half the cup brewed in the tray. Yo, Fetty, man. Yo, a real one for this. I cook with the Chemex, and I love the Chemex for making coffee. It's so clean. I'd love to know your setup, Fetty, for sure. Drop it in the chat when you get a chance. I use Opus for 12 plus hours a day, and sometimes on the $200 a month plan. I get approaching Opus limit warning occasionally, but I've never been blocked. So that's Opus in Claude Code will allow you to use your Opus limit up to 50%. And then it resets, I think, every 5 hours. So if it reaches that threshold, they'll just switch over to Claude Sonnet. And you can still keep going. Bacon, you can just go all day, bro. You're good. I mostly treat it like pairing it with other PRDs. Yeah, for sure. I had a 2-year-old local model that would work on, but the power was out. But my God, it was like working like in the 90s again. Oh, wow. So with the power outages, you can run on a local model. Oh my goodness, because you have no internet. So you're like, I need the AI. I need the AI right now. That's so good. We got to go. Have a nice day. Naman, thank you so much for dropping into the stream. I definitely appreciate that. Be mad, Claude Flow, Claude Swarm, sub. Okay, we got to have a Discord session. We need to have one of these powwows where we just pop in the Discord and then somebody's just got to cook with me. And who wants to take the lead on that? Let me know in the Discord. And I'd love to see what you're doing and have you teach all of us how this sauce works. I do want to know what's going on. And as a member, y'all can get into all that. So if you haven't become a member yet, get in there before I start to double the prices, because now we've reached our 100 member threshold. And so big shout out to all of the first 100 folks who've been able to hop in and join and support the channel. Y'all are real ones. I had a real conversation with my first member, Frank, and it was a really, really cool conversation of just kind of how this started, like 7+ months ago. And, with the membership stuff and everything kind of blowing up and AI coding. And I just have such an amazing passion for these things that I feel like a lot, we talked about how in AI, there's a lot of people who are pushing out fear. We were talking earlier about the dissonance, people up here are like, oh, AI is going to take over everything. They're like that 10,000 foot view. And then we have the engineers down here who are like, what are you talking about? Like, AI sucks. It's not good. I don't see where you're going. And so, kind of me being in the middle of this, seeing this, it's like, I think, there's a much more positive view to this that people don't really realize, and how much it can really unlock your superpowers. And the fact that we're all showing up, trying to learn more about it is so important. And so if you're digging this whole thing, definitely the engagement helps a lot for the live stream. So like all the people who hit the little like thumbs up, that actually does help with the engagement, but sharing it as well. So sharing these types of streams with people that you know that will be really interesting. And now that I have an editor on board, I'm trying to get more content pumped out. And your feedback actually helps me. So those comments that you're dropping, everything you're doing in the comments actually helps me make more topics. Like the reason why I'm even talking about the context engineering, all these types of things, is because that's a really thick topic right now that people are trying to learn about. And because I don't know it, doesn't mean that I can't talk about it. It just means I could probably learn about it live with you. And I think maybe all of our experiences together can kind of help us get there, right? So it's not one person alone. It's not, it's going to take a theme. It's going to take a community. So I'm really happy about the community that we're building here. And I appreciate everyone who's been able to join in on the streams and so forth. So y'all are real ones for sure. So be mad. Is there a difference between Claudia and Claude CLI? I have not checked out Claudia. I need to check that out. Is that the one where you can show the visual UI? And if there is one that basically does that, and it just looks at your database inside of Claude Code. So I think that's probably the one that we're talking about here, but I would love to know some more detail. Thoughts on Alibaba's massive local large language model? Thinking of going to prevent credit drain. I'm all about these local large language models, and if they can be installed in the system, totally awesome. They do require more like specific types of tuning. So you may have to adjust the temperature settings. You may have to insert custom prompts. The other part of it is you may need some additional work so that you can get into Claude Code, like or if they have their own version of a Claude Code type of thing. I think that's where you get these really nice first class experiences with these types of models that are pretty hard to find in a lot of the other places. Anyone else looking at SuperClaude? Would love to know some more information about that as well. Coffee, Macromancer, when I'm too lazy on the Chemex. Oh, Mocha Master. Okay, cool. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I have a subscription to Say Coffee, and Say Coffee is so freaking delicious. So if you don't know, SEYcoffee.com, and these folks, they are amazing. And I love the work that they do because they actually reach out to all these different regions all over the world. And they even participate in some really like poor regions to help them with their coffee growing industry. And so they source coffee from these really small farmers all the way from like Mexico, South America, all over Africa, all these different regions where coffee is being grown, Colombia and stuff like that. And the coffee is so good. So they roast their coffee in Brooklyn and then they ship it out, and they have these different subscriptions and stuff. And so they tell you exactly what specifically where these regions are. So right now the spotlight is on this Kenyan coffee. It's so freaking delicious. It's like ridiculous. And they have these different, they're using the color wheels for the flavors and stuff. And it's a light roast coffee. So this is great for just regular coffee. If you're doing espresso, it's probably not meant for espresso. It's all for, basically brewing like we do over the Chemex. And the coffees that they have are just phenomenal. So let's see which ones are the ones I've tried so far. I've tried that one. I've tried the Ethiopian one right now. The Ladras washed is really, really good right now. This one's so, so good. So like I actually get, I get more of the tea notes, and that's kind of what makes it really good. So this is a light roast coffee. I do the 16 to 1 or 16.666 to 1 ratio. I usually brew 2 cups. I want some coffee right now. I'm craving some coffee just talking about this. I'm totally addicted, but it's really, really good. It's so, so good. Oh, yeah. I can't go back. I only get coffee from Say now. Yeah, it's so good. Also in Hawaii, there's a couple of spots in Hawaii. That's why I also like to go to Hawaii too. They got some fire coffee. Good afternoon. Thanks for the guidance. Started learning by building with the help of Claude instead of courses, as you said. Yeah, now AI can really help you up and kind of do the things, if you know what I mean. Hit them likes, guys. Yeah, I appreciate it, yo. Yo, Xavier, thanks so much for becoming a member. Oh my God, a whole bunch of members just kind of came through. Appreciate that, man. Also, Jorid, I'd love to learn how to pronounce your name. Jorid became a member. Thank you so much. That's so awesome. We have Gail AG became a member. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Appreciate that. Y'all are real ones in the chat right now, showing up to the chat and kind of participating, and also everyone's smashing the thumbs up and stuff. So cool. And it's funny, I'm having some issues with my displays going out. Dino just became a member as well. Thank you so much, man. Y'all are real ones. Thank you for locking in. Yeah, there's going to be that post in my members only chat, or in the members only. If you just go to my channel, follow those instructions. I'm going to get you guys into the Discord because y'all are definitely showing up. And also, because you become members, I have that members only live stream yesterday you can check out. It's like a 4-hour live stream. We go from the beginning. I take you through like getting that template, getting it set up with Convex, getting the authentication set up with Clerk. It has a whole bunch of stuff in there that we just kind of like a lot of sauce and a lot of fire. When I get you on the Discord, feel free to ask any questions, links to repos, whatever you need, just let me know and I'll get those stuff to you as well. You're making me feel way behind the curve. I haven't heard of a PRD until now. Trying to be a leader in my company, but even then I'm barely keeping up. Going to try a PRD tomorrow. Hey, Sean, don't feel like you have to be like, I think part of being a leader is saying that you don't know and that you want to learn from everyone. In fact, you could even hand off some of these tasks to some of the people in your group, because by them learning, they can teach you and teach others. And so part of the reason why I even do these live streams is because of the fact that I can actually, by teaching you, I'm learning more about how this stuff works, right? I don't know about a lot of these toolings. And I think what I've realized, just to kind of hand off some advice to you, is like, you'll never be fully in the loop. But that's kind of why, like on the Discord, maybe Lisa or someone else is going to hop in and teach us more about some of the tools they've been playing with, right? I only have so much time. Everyone else has so much time. So if somebody discovers something cool, like let's share it with the community. Let's go ahead and kind of engage and kind of learn more. So, having this space where we can all do this, I think it's going to be even more important these days. And so that being said, I do want to do some meetups, by the way. I feel like being in the Bay Area is kind of a crazy magnet, and like I can travel to other places. So I go to Hawaii quite a bit. I want to go to New York. I want to go to like Texas or something. I want to go, I don't know. I just want to go all these places in the world. It'd be so cool. I mean, I like to travel in general, but like an excuse so we can actually hang out and do AI stuff. Why not, right? I know Toronto's on the map. People have been hitting me up from Toronto like crazy. So there's a lot of people out there I need to meet up with, and that could just be an entire week. So yeah, don't feel behind. I still want to know who came up with the idea of feeding coffee beans to cats to look up. Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying, man. I don't know what that's. I think that came out by accident. Damn, 4 new members. We cooking, chat, for sure. The chat is on fire right now. Y'all are really killing it. So perhaps the solution lies in designing a meta agent, a specialized agent whose sole task is to dynamically create and coordinate task-specific agents. Paolo, I would be careful a little bit with going too crazy on agents solely for the context window, but 2 for like debuggability and then like reliability. I would just say build it out by hand, get a good workflow you like working for you first, and then kind of try to see if you can automate that. Just step by step. These models will change, by the way, right? Like GPT-5 comes out and it has its own orchestration layer. We probably have to do less of that, right? We just probably more explain what our core problem is. And that's actually probably going to be more important. So don't be too tied to certain architectures, because just being around in 1 year, I've seen so much change. And that's the kind of common pattern right now. Think of it like building time equity. Yes, you'll learn every day. Yeah, that's exactly. Being around and exposed to people like a community like this helps us learn. And you'll kind of start to get the flow for things and how they work so far as well. So yeah, um, no one could ever be completely caught up on this stuff. Even the people who cover this daily are still like overwhelmed, right? You'll still be 1,000% ahead of other people. Like I've talked to Matt Berman, I've seen like Matt Wolf and these people I see on YouTube who have like hundreds and thousands of subscribers. They can't keep up. It's too much. They're like, dude, it's so crazy. Like hour after hour, because one company drops in, like some like Chinese model will drop. The US companies will try to respond with their own thing. So then they're all have the stuff waiting in the bag and they're just like, did they drop it? No. Okay. Did they drop it? Okay, let's go drop the news now. Like it's so nuts. So if you're learning right now, you're not behind the curve. You are the curve. This is, bro, RW, it's dropping bangers left and right, dude. Let's go. Yo, I'm rocking the classic mocha pot. Ooh, bro. Yo, you got a heart of gold right now. Yeah, that's some punchy coffee for sure. Come to Canada. Hey, yes. I want to go see Niagara Falls from the Canadian side. I've not seen Niagara Falls at all. So I hear it's really beautiful from that side, and I really do want to see it from there. How do I join the Discord server? Dino, I think if you just go to Ray Fernando on the YouTube channel, there's like, you'll see like members posts, and you'll see my member posts there. And so it'll be like members only. And then there's a post there. You just send me the information and I'll get you locked into the Discord so we can cook together for sure. The Hawaii Coffee Company rocks. Oh, snap. I'm getting low on disk space. Uh-oh. I got to head out really soon. All right. So if my thing dies, I'm having all these complications with my machine right now because I'm really low on disk space. I think yesterday's 4-hour 4K stream kind of sort of cooked my machine, and I may need to reboot and come back. So if you see my stream die, it's probably because I ran out of disk space. This is actually kind of embarrassing because like I have an 8 terabyte machine, but one of the things is like I've been streaming every single day. So part of streaming every single day is that eats up disk space. I have 75 gigs left. So right now my system is going like crazy to purge everything that it can that's purgeable. And so yeah, we'll see how long it can last. Oh my God, this is so embarrassing, but it's okay. Everyone's support is actually helping me try to get a new machine. Let's go. Oh my gosh, this is wild. Okay, I'm almost caught up with the chat. Thank you guys. Everyone tried NAN workflows. This is something that I want to learn more about because I want to automate them using apps instead of using NAN. What Discord channel would be appropriate for members sharing tips? You could just put it in the general channel for now. If you want me to add a channel, let me know. And I have like a members apps feedback type of thing, but yeah, just let me know and I'm happy to create channels for whatever we need. Toronto in the house. Okay, I definitely got to roll to Toronto for sure. What are some good practice to develop apps with high accessibility coding agents? I would say try to see if you can find like an accessibility framework that you really like, and then see if you can actually like ask the model to generate stuff for you and test it out. And if it works really well with that framework, you're pretty much gold. Otherwise you have to create these custom rules and stuff for it to like basically happen there. So yeah, I would say that as first step. Come up with a Muskoshka and we can nerd out on my cottage. Let's go. Claude Code is going fast with features. Those great features. Keeping up with alone is a challenge. Dude, Claude Code is moving fast, and I really love that thing. Yo, Raul, thank you so much for becoming a member, man. Thank you guys. Y'all are really here for the support of the channel. I really appreciate that. It's so cool. Oh my God, don't tempt me with a good time, Lisa. AI for scale. We chat in the Discord. That's so cool. Who else here's from London? Oh, London would be such a fire meetup. I love London. It's been like a decade, I think, since I've been there. So I need to go back. I've been through it, but I've not been like back for real. I've been to a lot of other countries though. It's been really cool. Dang, you guys, this chat really cooked. Y'all are really up in here. So 9:45, I got about like 15 minutes. Let me know what other stuff you want to see. If not, we can just kind of play around with my other app and kind of see what we've done so far and see if we can kind of fix it. Because let's see, yesterday we were playing around a little bit with an ASCII art typer, which is pretty fun. So generating ASCII art, and we're like, you can do all these different configurations. So I want to put this into here in the chat in case you guys want to play with this, because a lot of people found this really fun to kind of vibe with. So it's called ivibemorethanYou.com/typer. So you can make your own basically like Claude Code text just from this app. And I've used this to generate some thumbnails, which is really fun. So yeah. With my app and things, let's see there. Heading to rural Scotland in 2 days. Where's the meetup at? Whoa, that'd be so cool. Yeah, who's in Scotland? That'd be so awesome, man. Yo. Yeah. Like where's all the cool conferences and stuff? Let's see. All right. So we talked yesterday a little bit about Tailarc. If you aren't familiar, for those folks in the big live stream, your hard drive disk is almost full. Oh man, I should actually start popping off. I don't even know how much space I have left, but I'm going to do this until I basically fill up my hard drive. Okay. So Tailarc.com is definitely a cool place where you can actually grab some components. It's free and it's basically using Shadcn. So you can use this to basically grab, your headers and various things. You can landing pages and stuff like that. All is really cool. Somebody mentioned 21st Dev yesterday. So 21st.dev is a great place of another examples. One of the reasons why I like the Tailarc though is the fact that you can just feed it in the, okay, my actual machine is basically dying. This 21st.dev is a good place to actually grab some other design inspiration and stuff. But I find Tailarc that has like the complete set of like, I want a feature page, I want to like a landing page and these other things. So I should probably get off the stream right now because I need to go clear up some space on my hard drive, offload a bunch of old streams. I have like 2+ terabytes, almost 3 terabytes of live streams because I've been streaming every single day. So I'll be here every single day for you guys for the summer of streaming. And I got to go right now because my machine's almost out, but I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for becoming a member as well. For people who've just joined as members, feel free to follow that post for the members only stuff so that you can see how to join in and like send me your information so I can verify and put you into the Discord. And I'll see you soon. All right. Peace out, y'all.